It's time to fire this thing up. What you're looking at are some 5-inch extensions for our Mercury 225 25-inch shaft motors. They're now 30 inches. Hey, well, good deal, you made it. Hi, I'm John Graviscus. This is Bert Dell. It's great to have you back aboard the boat. What we're in is our model year 2005. This is a 28-foot Blue Water that we bought brand new about 5 years ago. And Paul, the owner of Blue Water Sport Fishing Boats, he offered a couple of different engine lines, and we really wanted to go with the Suzuki 4-strokes. Okay, but we were on a waiting list to get them, and I'm not the most patient of persons, okay, as you know, Bert. And so I got a really good deal on these Mercury Optimax 225s. Originally, they were 25-inch shaft motors. And what really kind of threw me over the edge was the SmartCraft technology. Okay, you've got a single screen, and it does diagnostic things. It's a very cool system, all right? But what we found out is the drive shafts on the Mercury 225s weren't truly 25 inches. I don't know this for sure. We are going to find that out today here at Ship Shape TV. But Paul, back at Blue Water, was very accommodating. He said, John, what I can do for you is I can take off your Armstrong engine bracket, I can drop it and re-drill your transom and reattach it, and the problem would be solved, okay? I didn't want to Swiss cheese up my brand new boat, all right? So I was talking to Bert. I said, Bert, what if we got these extensions, these 5-inch extensions, and we took the 25-inch shaft motors and we brought them to 30, and we just kind of jacked up the power head out of the water. Problem solved. Well, we tried it. We spent a lot of money, but now what's our problem?
Now we're actually too deep in the water.
We're about an inch too deep now with the cavitation plate when we're running on plane. What are my choices?
Well, we can either live with it or we could put jack plates on the bracket.
All right, I think jack plates on a boat like this would absolutely be out of character.
Absolutely.
Okay. What about a repower?
I like that idea.
You know, a lot of people today have very nice boats, and instead of buying a new boat, you know, in today's economy, you know, people are opting for repowers, and that's what we're going to be doing today here at Ship Shape TV. We're going to be putting on a pair of Evinrude 300s. Now, these are going to be 25-inch shaft motors, and speaking of shaft lengths, okay, we're going to be going over to Ralph Evinrude. We're going to measure these things for ourselves. This is crucial if you're doing a repower, because you need to make sure that that shaft length is actually going to fit onto the holes that are drilled into your transom or onto your affixed engine bracket. And now Evinrude has this icon thing which is competing with SmartCraft. Oh man, it is going to blow you away. But guess what? Before we can get into any of this stuff, shoot, you know the drill by now. You see, we need to work out a little trade-off. We've got to get all of you to spend the next 30 minutes with us as we're working right here along the beautiful water's edge. And then in exchange, with again the help of a few of my very knowledgeable friends in the marine industry, we're all going to be pooling together in order to do our very best to let you in on a few more ways to make your boat ship shape. And Steve, if you could pan off to that gray sky, we've got a thunderstorm coming. We got to get in.
Ship Shape TV, North America's favorite boat improvement show, is being brought to you in part by Vetus America, where boat builders and pleasure boaters alike get everything marine. Vetus, by Ray Marine, Marine Electronics the G-Man digs, and by the high-tech, low-emissions Evinrude E-TEC. Evinrude, spend more time on the water. Welcome back. This is a real working 28-acre boatyard / boat building facility residing in Stuart, Florida. It's Ship Shape TV's home base. Ideally located, the complex is situated on the shores of the Okeechobee Waterway, which happens to connect the Atlantic Ocean to the Gulf of Mexico. Now, once again, here's the founder and host of Ship Shape TV, John Graviscus.
These are our new Evinrude E-TEC 300 horsepower counter-rotating engines. Thanks, Buck, for the introduction. We have changed locations on you. We're now in Fort Pierce, Florida. This is Blue Water Sport Fishing Boats, and this is where I had my 28-foot Blue Water built about 5 years ago, and that was largely in part for this man right here. This is Paul Skilowitz, and hello, my friend.
How are you, John?
Doing well. Let's begin with what we need to do on the boat to de-rig the Mercuries from the vessel. And I really want to, make sure that I still have everything because I want to sell them.
Well, the first thing we do in a re-rig situation is we disconnect the batteries. And in doing so, we tape up the cable ends. This prevents from any shorting. It is a gas-powered boat. If there's any fumes in the bilge, you don't want the explosion risk.
Great idea.
You also eliminate any potential problems with the control modules on the motor. It is a computer, module, and if you short it out, you can do some damage. And you want to resell the motors. You want to make sure everything is good. So after we get the batteries disconnected, we're going to disconnect your oil line, your oil return line, your fuel line, all of which is located in the back bilge of the boat.
Okay.
Once those are disconnected, we're going to go to your cowlings, lift those off. And at that point, we can unbolt the motors and take them off.
Fantastic. Now, we're going to need to put in a couple of lifting rings, one in each motor. You have an overhead crane. This is going to make real easy work, real light work of this project. But once we have the guys unbolt the engines, we'll go ahead and we'll carefully set them off to the side because, again, we want to resell those engines to somebody else down the road. Okay, let's talk about what's left in the boat. What do we need to get out of here?
Okay, after the motors are off, we're going to have a couple harnesses left in the boat that have to be pulled through the rig tube. We're going to have some oil tanks in the bilge that are going to need to be removed. And in the console, once the harnesses are pulled out, there are two control modules. They're about this big, and there was one for each motor, and those will be removed as well, freeing up a lot of space in the console.
I want to talk a little bit about what we did already to the boat back at the marina. We took out the SmartCraft gauge, that big screen, along with the gauges, and the guys went ahead and they filled in that dash. And where they began was just with some Divinacell foam, rough shapes in order to go into the holes, and then Bert mixed up a batch of polyester resin along with some micro balloons, and he made a very thick paste, Paul, almost like a peanut butter, and he kind of buttered in any little cracks or crevices, openings around that Divinacell foam. Then, while everything was still wet, he just got some polyester resin, wetted out the foam, and he put some fiberglass chop strand mat on the outside of the dash as well as underneath on the inside of that dash. Okay, now once the glass cured, he mixed up some micro balloons along with some gel coat that you provided. This is the original gel coat. This is your color.
That's correct.
Okay, who's your gel coat manufacturer?
We use HK Research. They're up in North Carolina.
Same gel coat. Thank you for providing that. Went ahead and we made a thickened mixture, wiped it over that fiberglass. We came back, we sanded it, and to fill in porosity, what you might want to try using rather than the micro balloons is Cabasil. Okay. If you mix that in with the gel coat, you're going to have your color. You're going to be able to make it thicker, and you can really wipe it into a couple different directions with the applicator. Go a couple different directions, but that'll kind of fill in your porosity. Once you wet sand, you buff it. Man, we've got a brand new slate to kind of work off of. Let's take everybody through the process now that everything's de-rigged from the boat for bringing in our brand new Evinrude E-TECs. Where do we begin?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is hang the two motors on the transom. And then we work our way forward. So we'll get the motors on the transom. They're coming with your fuel line, your oil line, your battery cables attached. We'll bring those through the rigging tube into the boat, along with the bus cable, which feeds the Icon system.
What kind of information is going through this one single bus cable?
Everything. It's phenomenal. They get all of the engine parameters going through there, so you can extract any bit of information on the gauges you choose, from tachometer, water pressure, temperature, engine hours, fuel flow. With GPS sensor input, you can also get miles per gallon. It's a phenomenal system.
So I don't need a throttle cable anymore. I don't need a shift cable anymore?
No, that's all part of the bus system as well.
This is unbelievable. And we're talking one cable for two motors.
That's correct.
Okay, this isn't one cable a piece.
That's correct.
This is one cable for two motors. Paul, honestly, if we're looking at how hard it is to repower the boat with the Evinrudes, would you say this is probably one of the simplest repowers that you've come across in your experience?
Oh, there's no question. With the Icon system and the iCommand gauges all in one bus, it's the simplest possible scenario you could have. I mean, there's one cable to draw through the boat. You can't get simpler than that.
Thank you so much, Paul.
My
hey,
pleasure.
Right now we need to take a very short time out to keep it right here, because when we come back, we're moving locations on you. We're heading over to the Ralph Evinrude Test Center, and we're going to be measuring some drive shafts. We'll cover things right after this.
ShipShape TV will be right back. Welcome back aboard. Fishing for boats.